Christian, this might be a pretty stupid question, but how did it feel to catch that pass, get exactly 17 yards, and realize that you had made history?
I didn't know. I wasn't 100% sure how much I needed. I'm very appreciative. I got to play with a lot of really cool players who have helped me. This season, I have a lot of people to thank. But at the end of the day, I think we've learned, as a Panthers organization, as a team, I speak for both states, that the most important stat is winning, and we didn't get that done this year. The individual statistics, obviously, they're great, and they're cool, and there'll be stuff that you can look back on when you're done and be proud of yourself. But we would love to get this thing fixed and get fixed quick.
Christian, when was the first time you remember becoming aware of such thing as a 1,000 season that had only been by two guys before? I mean, is this something you were aware of in high school, college, when you got here?
I'm not sure I remember the exact moment I was, aware of it, but every year I write down little goals, and that was one of them. And so it's cool when you accomplish one of your goals that you write down. But obviously, once again, I can't reiterate this enough, but the most important statistic is winning. And it's a shame. I look at guys like Greg Olsen and Luke Kuechly, and I look at them, and they deserve better. And so, once again, there's a lot to learn from this season. I think that's the most important thing is taking the goods and bads, and somehow, if you can, enjoy the ride and learn from everything. And we'll decompress and get back after it next year.
If Greg does call it a season, what has he meant to you, this organization, this community, everything?
Well, you can't replace a guy like Greg Olsen. That's someone who actually just read a text from Ryan Khalil, and when I had gotten drafted, Khalil and Olsen sent me a selfie, and I didn't know them back then, but they sent me a selfie, just big text of saying how happy they were. And I look at things like that, and from day one, there's a lot of jokes about Greg being my dad, and I don't know if he's gonna. I hope he does, but I don't know if it is. But if this is his last one, obviously there's a lot of people who have impacted me, and he's right up there with the best. And I can't speak enough good words about him to do a justice of the impact he's had on this team, the impact he's had on the community, the impact he's had, in the Carolinas and in this entire football league. I think he's one of the most respected guys, and if it is his last one, then that's going to be a very sad day for all of us. But what a career he's had. I think obviously he's done a lot on the field, but the impact he's had for me on the field means a lot more than that.
Is there something in particular that you really learned from him? I mean, so many guys look up to someone that's in the 1,000 club now. For you to look up to another player that's on your team, what's he taught you?
He's taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot about football, but you look at what he's gone through with his son, TJ, who had heart issues when he was young, and so he easily could have just fought through it and gotten past it. Instead, he built a wing on a hospital, and now he helps kids every single day, raises thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, so that kids who go through that same thing don't have to struggle. And I think that's a testament that goes beyond the game of football to who Greg Olsen is.
Once you get away from this for a little bit, how do you think you'll ultimately look back at the 2019 season?
How
do you think you'll ultimately look back at this season?
It's a whirlwind. It's not what we wanted. It's not what a lot of people wanted. But you win or you learn. And obviously we lost a lot. But there's two ways you can go about it. You can mope about it and cry about it and whine, but that does no good. So, like I say every week, win or lose, you got to treat the next Monday, Tuesday as reflections and get back to the drawing board, correct your mistakes, capitalize on what you did well, and move forward from there and control what you can control.
How difficult was it these last 4 weeks, having your mind in the right place, after Ron and the team just seeming to go downhill a little bit and losses getting bigger?
It's tough, but this league is not a friendly league. When it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's really bad. And things can go really good for you quick, and things can go really bad for you quick. And the biggest thing I've learned this year is to control your emotions and not get too high, not get too low, stay poised. And, you know, when adversity strikes, it's how you handle it, you know, because it's going to happen. That's inevitable. You know, you look at the 2015 season that these guys had, you know, undefeated season essentially, you know, lost one game and then, you know, Super Bowl run. 2-3 years later, it's not like this. I mean, it does this. And, you know, guys who ride the wave of emotion are in a bad area. So you got to stay poised and you got to learn from everything and do whatever you can to let it not happen again.
Kyle and
Christian,
Will
you-
were thrown into some really tough spots this year at a given time. How much did you take on your shoulders to do whatever you could, anything you can at any time, just to help them out in their campaign?
Yeah, those guys they did a great job. They were thrown into the fire quick under really bad circumstances, and so I don't necessarily think I told myself I have to do anything more. The biggest thing was just communication, you know, making sure we're on the same page and doing my job and doing it to the best of my ability, and I think that's what everybody should do. And we got a lot of guys who do that.
Sorry. We hear you talk a lot with such joy about how it feels for you to play football and how much you love the game of football. And you mentioned sometimes that it's the same game that you used to play when you were a kid. What did it feel like for you back then when you were a kid and you started realizing that you loved it? And I assume it was a family experience.
Yeah, this game is the greatest game in the world. And the higher level you get, you know, the more stuff comes with it. But I think the biggest thing that I've realized is to always have that kid in you, always have that love for the game that you had when you were 7, 8 years old and you were playing in the park with your brothers or in the backyard or in the basement, whatever it was. It's important to still have that same joy and love for the game. Otherwise, you start to play for the wrong reasons. And one of the biggest reasons I play is because I do love this game. I think it's been pretty much all I know my whole life. So, and I think I watch guys like Luke Kuechly, and what an example he is. What an example he's set for everybody of how to play and enjoy playing. So.
Christian, you mentioned, I think last week, you said San Francisco was not in great shape last year, and now all of a sudden look at where they are. Where do you think this organization is in terms of getting back to that level that it needs to be?
Well, we'll see. You know, I don't want to sit here and make predictions. A lot goes into winning football games, and I think you got to realize how hard it is to win a football game in this league. And we're just going to focus, you know, day by day controlling us. And I think the more you look into the future, the more you get, you know, thrown off the course of what's going on now. So right now, decompression time and, you know, get off my feet and sulk, if you want to call it that. But get some family time and you know, when it's time to get back after it, we're going to do so pretty heavy.
Christian,
Pardon me if you've already been asked about this, but considering the workload this year and you don't have another to prepare for, how do you feel you've held up physically?
Body feels good. You know, you always got to count your blessings when you get through a season healthy. So I feel good. You know, body's fine, no issues.
Christian, Coach Fuel named you as one of the foundations for this team going forward. Kyle Allen said today in the locker room that you're changing the way the running back position is played. Do you also sort of feel with what you accomplished today individually, but the leadership that a Greg Olsen or Lee Kuechly shows, are you ready to take on more of that going forward?
Definitely. I think the biggest thing with our team, too, is, you know, we have a lot of young guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And the quicker we get those guys to realize that they're also leaders, you know, the faster we can start moving forward with this thing. Because we have a lot of guys who have earned their stripes, and it takes everybody. And biggest thing is for us is just to set a high standard in this offseason and go from there. But, you know, it takes a village. Football's not easy, and it's not a one-man show, and it never has been. You know, you look at some of the best teams in the world, and they play great team football, and that's what we have to get back to doing.
Christian, what would you, as part of building this next chapter, what would you impart to the incoming coach about what he's walking into, what he has here in this locker room?
I'd listen to him. You know, he's the coach, and you know, we'll get a standard set. You know, him and the other leaders, but I don't know who it's going to be. Whoever it is, you know, that's the coach. That's our leader, and so we're going to do what he says.
Will Greer came in the last couple of games. Just talk about him and the situation that he took over.
Yeah, Will was thrown in the fire, and I think You know, the thing I'm most proud of Will of is he always controlled his attitude and his effort, and studied well. He was thrown into a very tough situation. He made a few plays. You know, obviously it's bad circumstances, but I think Will did a great job, and he's going to have an unbelievable future in this league.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.